I wanted to share some visions that the Lord had given me that I think will help give hope to the body of Christ and faith and love. Hopefully, it'll increase all good things in your life. I really believe we're entering some really dark times, but if we know Jesus, we're full of faith and full of hope. They can be the best of times, and I think that's really God's desire for us. And so, I guess what I'm hoping that as I share these visions with you, that it will cause you to hope, because God wants you to have hope. Never doubt that fact. God is a God of hope, and He wants you to have hope, and He wants you to have faith, and He wants you to know His love. And so, anyhow, I had these. I had this. I'm going to share several visions that I just wanted to, and then kind of expound on some of what I felt like the Lord was showing me about them. This first one I had. I was at a prayer service, and I was just seeking the Lord. I just had kind of laid down on the floor, and I had my face in the carpet, and I really wasn't expecting this to happen. But I think when things happen to you, you really never are not. You're never expecting it, and all of a sudden in this, I went into a vision, and I've had a lot of visions in my life, but this one I would say is a little bit more. Was a little bit stronger in the sense of it wasn't just like a picture. It was really technicolor, and it was really, I was in the vision. I was in it. I was part of it. So I don't know if that's what you'd call a trance, but I was participating in this. It was like I was in another realm, really, more than a vision. But so, and all of a sudden I'm on the deck of this three-masted schooner, like an old-time warship, and I'm dressed in this British uniform, this old-style British uniform. Had the brass buttons down the front. I had this long hat that kind of went like this, one of the thin, kind of funky hats, and Jesus was on the deck right next to me, and He was glowing like a light bulb, but also what was most distinct about Him is He was full of joy. The joy was so intense coming on. You could feel it from, because I was about 8-10 feet away from Him, but it was coming off of Him intensely. And it's kind of like, the only way I can describe it, it's kind of like a bonfire. If you've ever been at the beach or been camping and someone puts like way too much wood on the thing, and you've got a massive bonfire, and you can't really get super close to it because it's like, whoa, it's just, the heat is so intense. Well, that's how the joy was. That's the best way I can describe the joy coming off the Lord. It was just like so intense. And He was just, He had this beautiful smile. And, when He looks at you, He's just so full of love, acceptance, and approval. And He is just so glad to be with you. He loves you so much, and He, and with a big smile on His face, He said, "Hello, Captain." And I felt kind of awkward, like I didn't know what to say. Because I'm still kind of thinking, well, you're the captain. I'm not any captain, And He's like, "Yo, hello, Captain." And it was like He was here to have fun. And so I'm holding on to the wheel of this ship, and the ship's, and it's like we got like a strong wind, and we're just like, and like I said, you could feel the mist of the waves hitting and the mist kind of coming over, and it was just like the smell of the salt air and just everything going. And And I looked up, and it was daytime. It was like beautiful blue with some, clouds, not a lot of clouds, but blue mostly. I looked straight up, and I could see the stars in outer space, which usually, you can only see them at night. But I could see Orion. I used to really be into doing, watching stars a lot, and looking in the telescope, and so I saw Orion up there. But then I also, at about the same time, realized, oh, I'm in a vision, so I don't have to stay. It was like a lucid vision, I guess. It's like, oh, I don't have to stay on the water. I'm going to fly out. I'm going to fly out to Orion. So I don't know, in my head, I willed the ship and took off into outer space on the ship, and in seconds or less, I mean, we were in the metal. Because the reason I wanted to go out there, I went to Orion's Belt where the Horsehead Nebula is. I thought, this would be so cool, man. Let's just go into the Horsehead Nebula, man. And so so we're there in like seconds, and just the colors were, I mean, you see awesome pictures of it, on the internet, but I mean, being in it, I mean, just the colors were just so much more. And plus, when you're having like a heavenly experience, it seems like colors do pop a whole lot more. They're more colorful. I can't really explain how blue can be more blue, but it is when you're in a situation like that. So anyhow, we're up there, and I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's just like it was like a beautiful summer night, and we're up there, and I'm just looking at all the colors and the stars, and it was just like magnificent on this sailing ship in the middle of space, and then I realized, and then the Lord, I started getting some like revelation, and the Lord, I just realized, like, all of a sudden, man, I am so far away from Earth. I am just like, I am so far away. I am so far away. And then the Lord, He cloaked the boat. We were still standing on the boat, but then it became totally invisible. And we're just standing in outer space. And the Lord kind of downloaded, He didn't speak to me with words, but He kind of said, you are, I have you hidden. It's like the enemy, I just knew that the devil had no chance of finding me, for one thing, because I was like light years away. And plus, we were invisible out in space. I mean, it's like the Lord was saying, you are covered. It's kind of, and then He spoke to me Psalm 91. And there's a lot of things in Psalm 91, like, the fact, that He covers you with His feathers. He covers you with the shadow of His wing. And we're totally covered, and I think that's the first thing of hope that I wanted to share, is that you are totally, if you're trusting in God, the devil, he's got the devil on a short leash. He's not going to be able to get to you. It doesn't matter how bad things might get. You just need to trust Him, because He has you hidden, under the shadow of His wing. And you're in the palm of His hand. There's no way that that anybody could take you out of it. Okay, and the second vision I had, this was actually a vision in the night. It was a little bit different, but I was in the tribulation period, and there was great darkness on all the earth. I mean, it was dark. I felt like it wasn't cold. Somehow it was like the temperature was about the same, but it was like pitch black. There weren't any stars, there wasn't any moon, there wasn't any sun. It was just dark. And people were hunting for Christians. They were hunting them down to kill them. They were trying to wipe out and kill all Christians. And I was poor. In the sense of I didn't have a lot of financial stuff. I was in a small apartment, and I had no furniture. I had nothing. I was just like vagrant, except for I did have the apartment. I was in there, and I was worshiping with other Christians, but I was the only one in this room. There were Christians that were like quarter mile away, half mile away, couple miles away. And it was funny because I could see them in the spirit. And I was so full of Jesus. I was so full of God. I was like a light bulb, man. I mean, I was shining. You know, it talks about the glory that we're supposed to be experiencing was more than Moses. You know, Moses had glory when he went into the tent of meeting with God. You know, his face would shine, and then he'd put the bag over his head when he'd come out. And I mean, I was like, my entire being was shining, man. I mean, I was like a shining light bulb. And then some gal came and she basically knocked down my door, and I just knew stuff about her. She was like a colonel in the devil's army. She was dressed in black. She was full of darkness, and she was like, you know, controlled by darkness. And she comes in there and she's like, "Where are you hiding those Christians?" And I, you know, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of went, I put my hands up and I looked around, and it's like, I don't have any furniture. There's nowhere to I have like this little studio apartment. You look around, there's nothing in here. There's nowhere to hide. And she got like, because she thought she had caught us or something. She had caught me or caught us, and she went out the door in a huff. She's like, "Oh." But I can remember, I can see in the spirit, I could see these other Christians, and I was able to communicate with them from even miles away. And we were having like prayer together, even separated. We were able to connect with each other over this long distance. And my next word of hope in this was that, I mean, I thought, you know, she's going to I mean, there's no way she should have not caught me, because I was shining like a light bulb. She should have caught me, but she just didn't see. So God had me covered. Even when the darkness was on top of me, she could not see that I was a Christian. And to me, it was like, dude, I'm shining like a light bulb, but she couldn't see it. And I was still able to have fellowship with other believers through this, in the spirit. I think it's a lot like Paul would, you know, Paul had that ability. It says, you know, though I'm absent in the body, I'm present in the spirit. And he was able to see things and understand things, even from a distance. And I think this is a gift that we are recovering at this time and into the tribulation, and we'll be able to have fellowship with other believers without actually meeting with them physically and being in their proximity. We'll be able to fellowship with them over long distance. So I hope you like this video, and share it and help, you know, if you think it'll be encouragement to anybody. And God bless you. He loves you, and just keep seeking Him. Bye.